Welcome to Lunch with Lawrence,
Thank you.
episode 10. Episode 10, featuring my homegirl, DeLane Anthony-Loggins, a.k.a. LA, a.k.a. Lane. DeLane, I'm so happy that you are here, man, for episode 10. How's it going? How you feeling?
I'm good.
Can
Thank you for having me.
Can we do a cheers real quick?
We can.
Let's just cheers to episode 10. You on here, which is major. Entrepreneurship, success, doing our thing. Thank you for being part of
course.
Lunch with Lawrence episode 10.
Thank you. Cheers.
Let's
Thanks for
take
having
a
me.
sip, man. Most definitely. So, DeLane, man, we've been friends since high school,
Yeah.
I believe. And I know you've been doing your thing. I know you got married. You started some businesses. And one of the businesses that I personally know that you had started was the Wax Bar.
Mm-hmm.
What's the full name of it?
So it's legally now it's trademarked. So it's the Wax Bar and Beauty by LA.
Okay, dope. But originally it was just the Wax Bar, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So talk to me like from high school. I want to know because after high school, what was your journey leading up into you getting into entrepreneurship? And was the Wax Bar your first entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah.
So talk to me.
So graduated high school and went into college. So I have 3 college degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are they, if you don't mind? What are the
so
degrees?
everything is in business.
Okay.
And then, so I have an associate's degree, and then I immediately went right back in and got my bachelor's. And then I took like a year off and got my master's degree, and I got that when I was like maybe 22.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked corporate America for a long time.
Yeah.
Always knew that I wanted to kind of be self-employed.
Okay.
But when I went through kind of working corporate America, to be honest with you, I was okay with that too.
Okay.
I think what I realized about myself though was I'm just not a yes man kind of person. So I kind of struggled in my, the last few employers that I worked with it, where it was just like, I just had so much to offer, and I was just like, you're not paying me enough for what I'm dealing with. So it was kind of one of those things where I would have been totally okay with it. I was prepared for it. That was why I went to college.
Okay.
Because although I wanted to be an entrepreneur, it was more so if that doesn't work out, I always have my education to fall back on.
Right.
So I was always the kind of person, plan A, plan B, a plan B for plan B. I was just that kind of person.
That's dope.
So I was just like, whatever happens, I wanted to just make sure I was covered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you went to college, and so you worked in corporate. And then what made you like just take that leap of faith? Like, were you still working when you started the business?
yeah.
Okay,
So
smart, which is smart, by the way.
Right.
Yeah,
And I would always suggest that to
Yes.
people because people just think, you just appear into being like a business owner, and it looks real good. And, people see like the shiny cars, and they, they see that it looks like, it's just like, I could do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's the amount of sacrifice and the amount of planning and the amount of just trying to be strategic so you're trying to prevent falling flat on your face.
Yeah.
It's okay if you fall, but you're trying not to like completely be like, don't do stupid things.
Yeah.
So I worked, and my plan was, I'm going to start this business. I started my salon at 25, but I was still working corporate America.
Hold on. Now you said salon.
Yeah. So the Wax Bar is a salon.
Oh, word? Like a hair salon?
No.
Okay.
So it's hair. So everyone says that.
Yeah.
So it's all hair removal.
Hair
so
removal.
it's body. All I do all day long is remove hair from people. So eyebrow artistry, and then full service body waxing for men and women.
So
I've never styled hair. I've never done nails.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's dope, and that's why I'm excited to talk to you about it, because like what I want to know is what made you go into that lane of hair removal, like.
Yeah. So I remember I'm always been the kind of person like the road less traveled. So I like all beauty stuff. Like at one point I thought like, oh, maybe I could do makeup. But I was just always the kind of person that I was like, all right, what is like no one really doing? And when I started doing research on hair removal, I realized that like luxury salons that did hair removal, they existed in all the big cities. So they were in Chicago, in LA, New York, all these, and they were common. I'm talking about there was like one on every corner.
Yeah.
And then in Cleveland, you know, I think there was one, but like European Wax Center wasn't in Cleveland yet, or Westlake or Strong's or any other places that they were. There were no franchise businesses like that around here. And there were spas and things like that, but there was nothing that was just strictly hair removal. And I looked at it more like kind of meeting a need, to be honest. Naturally, because this is what happens, it's always, people are always like, well, you can't do that until it's done. And then people are like, oh, so you can do that. But I remember when I had started kind of telling people close to me that this is what I was going to do. Short of like my husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time, people literally thought it was like a very stupid idea.
Because they can't see themselves.
And every time I would say salon, like you, everyone was like, okay, so you're going to like do hair? And I'm
because
like,
that's what's so big here in Cleveland.
Because that's just like the first thing you think of.
Right.
And I'm just naturally, that's just me to just kind of just do something different, because I don't really identify with just like doing what everyone else is doing. And it's cool to, you know, do hair. Like I always say, like who doesn't, you know, we get it. Like I love hair, all that. I'm into all that. I'm into makeup, and I'm into all that. I'm into fashion. I wanted to open up a boutique at one point. I wanted to open up a gentleman's club. I wanted to do just something that was just expressive of who I was. And when I started doing the research, the hair removal was just like, this could be it. and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's what's up. So what's the process? Share with me like the process of getting into that business. Like the certifications, licensing, school, like what?
So you have to be licensed, and a licensed esthetician or cosmetologist.
Okay.
So I went to esthetician school. I'm a licensed esthetician.
Okay.
And I then spent a great deal of time and money training with like some of the most successful people in the beauty industry that were doing eyebrows, to be specific. So I was like taking trainings in like Chicago, New York, LA, and my thought process was, you know, I'm going to open up this business. I have no idea how to run a business. And what can I do that kind of just gives me just like that extra edge? And to be honest with you, it was really paying money to someone else to tell me exactly, you know, anything that they wanted to share. And it was also, to be honest with you, being selective, because, you know, everyone, you can learn something from anyone. I agree with that. But for me, it was like really being selective about who do you want to learn from. Like, you know, I don't want the, you know, it looks real good on Instagram. Like I really wanted people that it was like, no, these were like people who were, you know, in editorials. Like these were people who really had made like tons of money. They wanted to be, they were where I would have, of course, have liked to become eventually. So I trained with them, and I literally opened my salon working 5 days a week. I worked in the evenings and on the weekends with no clients. I opened my salon. I had never worked at anyone else's salon. I had no clientele. I just literally opened up my salon on a hope and a dream.
Wow, that's some. Hey, let me toast to that. Let me toast to that one too, real quick, man. Okay, all right. I know it's a soft Monday, but look, afternoon. But we gonna toast to that. That's dope. That is amazing. I remember you reached out when you had the grand opening. And you know you had so many people that were supporting you. So it's like, well, next question. So the location. You're not in that same Woodmere? Okay, so talk about how you found the first location you found, and why did you choose that first location at the time?
So in doing research about hair removal specifically, the demographic for that is very specific, because that's what I would still consider is like a luxury service. It's like a facial, it's like a massage. This isn't something that people just go get, you know, any person just goes and gets. This is something that people, you know, people will do their own manicure. People will, you know, they'll go without a facial. They'll go without a massage. They'll shave their legs. So this is really, I felt like it needed to be in an area where people have more expendable income and people are able to see the value in receiving such a thing as a luxury service like this.
Yep.
So I went to Woodmere. I was in an office building on Chagrin for 6.5 years. And it was hidden, so no signs. There was no big building sign. There was none of that kind of stuff. So I literally built the business from word of mouth only.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, like, how did people find out about you? How did you market the business to get the clientele to come in?
Yeah, so my biggest thing was it has to be, like, the website has to be A1. And it was just, this was also, Instagram existed, but this was also pre-Instagram. Like, Instagram at the time was not used to build businesses. And to be honest with you, I'm still bad at Instagram today because I never have relied on Instagram to build the business.
That's not wrong with that.
Yeah, so mine was strictly, all I wanted was reputation and customer service and providing an incredible service to clients. And that literally, for me, was my recipe. Like, I hid behind my business for many years because I didn't care if people knew who I was. I wasn't doing it to become popular or to be seen. But it would always be very humbling when I would go places and someone would say, like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I do eyebrows, I remove hair. And they're like, oh, okay, what's the name of your business? Oh, it's called The Wax Bar. You own the wax bar? I've heard of you. And so it's kind of like those things that were like, well, that's cool. Like, clearly no one knows who I am, and I'm okay with that. Like, I wanted my business to speak for me. I didn't want to, like, lead with that. Like, oh, hi, you know what I mean? I'm DeLane, and I own the wax bar. I was just kind of like, I don't need all that.
So humble. Just so humble. I love it. I love it. Just so humble. I love it. That is dope. When your business could grow off of, like you said, reputation, referrals. Like, you do something good for one client, and then they refer, and they refer, and they refer. Oh my god!
And it's a numbers game.
It is. It's like the best business. Like, every year I log off of social media. Actually, every August. Between August and September, I take a social media fast for 6 months. So I'm like 6 months on, 6 months off. I'll hop back on here and there for, like, my daughter's birthdays. I like to, celebrate my children.
Of course.
But when I first started doing it, people would be like, man, you don't lose no money. You not no business when you're not Instagram. And I'm like, man, my business, Instagram does zero for my business. Like, actually zero.
Humbly, but
humbly. Yeah, it's like, I build my business off relationships and just providing good customer service. And those people are going to constantly refer and bring in more people.
And that's exactly how it happened for me.
Yeah. So I do have one question. I want to turn the leaf. So I had one of my good friends on. I think it was like episode 7 or something. My guy Jameer. And Jameer had brought up a discussion regarding a black-owned business. Marketing yourself as a black-owned business. Clearly, you haven't done that. And so he brought up some really good points, and I agree with him on some things I don't. But I could see, and I probably already know the answer to this, but I could see with your type of business, where you're located and why you did it the way you did. Have you advertised, ever put your business out there like it's a black-owned business or no?
Now that you're asking me that, no. Because
Yeah.
now I'm realizing. I mean, no, I've kind of put my face on the website and things like that. But
originally you didn't.
Originally, no. Yeah. And I wasn't. I don't think I was even hiding the fact that I was black. Yeah. I was just hiding. Period. Because I'm just very much an introvert.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I remember I had a conversation with my husband. Again, we were dating at the time. When I opened the business, he said, DeLane, you kind of funny with people. Like, you do realize you're going to have to, like, introduce yourself to people and say hello to people and make conversation. And to be honest with you, my business made me more of like an introvert extrovert.
Okay.
But if I didn't own my business and I still worked in corporate America, I probably would not even have social media.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm proud, of course, obviously, of who I am and of where I come from. I've never shied away from that. Yeah. But I've never just led with that.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact that not only is my business black owned, but the fact that it's a small business and small businesses are so important, especially to like Cleveland area, things like that. I've always just been a fan of small businesses in general and entrepreneurs in general, and black, white, whatever. It's just, for me, it was for the industry and for the sector of the industry that I'm in, naturally just, the demographic is specific, and although my clientele is very, very, very diverse, obviously I knew doing hair removal, I know naturally where that starts. You know what I mean? That didn't start with African American women. So, and I was okay with that. I knew that, but at the same time, I did eyebrows also. So Brazilian waxing may not be something that's common in black women, but eyebrows, we've always been about the face, and we've been raised on eyebrows since the beginning of time. So I knew that, you know, I would be able to, which is again true to like where we're from, Cleveland Heights. Like we grew up in such a diverse neighborhood. So I was just being true to myself, to be honest with you.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So one question I have is, when you started the Wax Bar, which is now the Wax Bar and Beauty by LA.
Right. Or just the Wax Bar is cool.
The Wax Bar.
Yeah.
You were still in corporate America.
Right.
How long did it take for you to transition yourself out of corporate America to be now fully?
Yeah. So a year and a half into starting my business, I unfortunately lost my job, so I didn't quit.
Okay.
So I lost my job and just normal corporate America stuff, and I was devastated. Because that was my vehicle until I was comfortable.
I'm glad. Okay. To
walk away and say, I got this and I'll never need to look back. And honestly, I didn't get that opportunity. I walked into work one day, they were on some trash, to say the least, and before I knew it, I didn't have a job. And I remember I called, and I've only ever worked for like larger corporations. So this was like a good job. This was no like, oh, you know, whatever. Right. This was like, really? And I'm pulling out of the parking garage, and I call my husband, and I said, well, what am I supposed to do now? And he said, you're going to go into that business every day.
Shout out to the husband, man.
And he said, DeLane, you never know. Just go into the business every day. He said, before you could only go in there after 5.
Right.
You was working from 5 to 9, 6 to 9. He was like, and then on the weekends, he was like, now you got, your days are wide open. He said, just go into the salon, just see what happens. I was like, you don't think I should at least just start applying for jobs? He said, because...
Oh, this is good. Go ahead. Talk to me.
When you come from corporate America, it's like a crutch. I just lost health insurance.
Yeah, you did.
I just lost
your benefits.
Vacation. I just lost sick time. I just lost everything. And... I'm not married. Mind you, this ain't no like, I'm good. I don't have no insurance because I'm not married at the time. So the other thing was, and this is a very little known fact, I was dating my husband, and I said, I really want to start this business. And I said, but I'm not going to be able to save money to start this business and pay bills. And he said, well, don't. Save your money. Work your job, put the money into the business, and I'll take care of the rest.
Hey,
and
that's a man for you. Facts.
That's
a man for you.
And honestly, I owe my husband everything because when I lost my job, imagine what's going through my mind. Well, what am I supposed to do now? The business has been started. We're a year and a half in, but I don't have steady income anymore. So I literally just stayed in the salon. Many days I didn't have appointments, but now at the time I had 2 cell phones. So now every time the phone rings, because people are Googling and they're finding the Wax Bar, now every time they call, I'm able to answer. Whereas before I'd be at my desk like, hi, thank you for calling the Wax Bar. Yes, I can't take appointments till after 6 o'clock. You know, now it's like, yeah, I'm here. You can come on in. You know, that kind of thing. So a year and a half into the business, I'm unemployed, but I'm now officially self-employed. And it was a slow grind. But I worked.
But it was a grind.
It was a grind. But I worked 7 days a week, honestly, probably for the first 3 years in business. So 7 days a week, including that year and a half that I was working. So I'm working 7 days a week and working a 40-hour week plus job, and working the business on literally in any free time that I have. And then from that to I literally I'm sitting in this business. I'm sitting in this salon. I don't got but one client today. And I'm sitting in this salon, and you know, I wasn't advertising.
Right.
So I'm literally just relying basically on word of mouth and on people just literally Googling.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing ever, was just having a bomb website. And I spent a fortune on that first website.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was worth it. Because it looked real official.
Yeah.
It looked like I had 6 employees and this was owned by a corporate company that probably was based in California.
Right.
And it was just me, myself, and I.
Wow. Wow.
It
So
was literally just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. But you did it. You overcame that.
Yeah.
And even though you had that good job, because there's nothing wrong with working in the corporate world. I mean,
Of course.
I have friends that are doing
So well.
in the corporate world.
And honestly, if they would have been willing to pay me, I would have probably still be there.
Yeah. So, but then shit happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you end up losing that job, and it had to propel you to just figure it out. And it's crazy sometimes how we have to shift our thinking, because it's like, in your mind, I need to start applying to get another job. And even though the job could have been good, it would have kept you from taking your business to another level. Even if it took 2-3 years, it would have still kept you at this place where you're comfortable and you're content.
Yep.
And sometimes that comfortability and that content has to be broken.
Yeah.
So you could go ahead and just make it happen.
Yeah.
And just take your business to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know, a quick story that I want to share is there was a time when I was married and my business had took a huge plummet, right? Horrible. Like, let's just say for easy numbers, let's just say I was making $10,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And my bills were roughly $5,000, maybe $6,000 a month, right? So, you know, I have $4,000 left over each month, which is good to have $4,000 just in the pocket.
Of course.
So now, with my bills being $6,000 a month, and they're still being the same, my business took a huge hit. Where now, instead of me making $10,000 a month, I was making $4,000, $5,000, and a month would go by in the hole. Next thing you know, car got repoed, right? And during that time, when those things were happening, my wife at the time, she had the same. She comes from a corporate world too. You know, before she started her business, she was in the same mindset where she was like, "You need to go get you a job." Mind you, I haven't worked for nobody in years. Okay, I've been self-employed since I was 21 years old. This happened like when I was like 30, like my early 30s. You know, and so I'm like, what? Like a resume applying for a job it just blew my mind. And I remember like she had went on like Indeed on my behalf and was like applying for all these property management real estate firms, these big corporations. And I got a couple phone calls to come into an interview. One, it's the middle of summer. I had no idea how to dress. I threw on some dress pants, a button up, a blazer, had my tie on. It's about 95 degrees outside. I go into this interview drenched in sweat, trying to be cool. Like, I haven't dressed up like this. Like, I feel like I was supposed to go to a wedding.
Right.
I'm going for a job interview. I don't know, because in my lane, in my world, I dress the way I want to dress every day and make good money just doing what I do, you know, dressing how I want to dress.
Right.
But in my mind, going back when I was working, one of my last jobs was I was at the bank where I had to wear some slacks, had to wear a button up, had to wear a tie every single day. So it took me to that where it's like, okay, well, to get a job, this is how I have to look to look impressive to somebody else.
Right.
Man, I hated it. Yeah. I hated it. I went to this interview. I overqualified for the position because I do what they do.
Of course.
Just probably on a smaller level at the time.
Right.
And needless to say, they called me and they was like, "You're just overqualified for the job." I couldn't get the job. And that was probably one of the best things that happened to me, because if I got that job, I would have probably worked that job. I would have hated it. Yep. I would have been in there. And I think they were going to pay like $75,000, $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was already making 6 figures. So I was taking, you know, but for me, it's like, all right, it's stability.
Yeah.
You know, and I was kind of willing to give up the business. And all that did was it just propelled me to like, you know what, let me sit back and let me just grow this thing, because I'm about to just take off.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did.
Yep.
And so the little money I was making back then is just, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's just what it does, man. It's a blessing. Anyway, let's toast one more time. Let's toast one more time to the corporate world firing you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look, yes.
Let's toast to you getting
Shout
fired.
out to them for real.
Let's toast to me getting turned down. Okay. Back then when I was going through my situation, because, you know, all it does is just put fuel under us to just take things to the level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me drink to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Back to the wax bar. So COVID hit last year.
Right.
Business had to close down.
Right.
And you're not working. What was that like for you when that happened?
Well, now I'm married.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. My husband, thank God, has a good job, and he was still getting regular pay, no furlough. Yeah. I was like, thank God. Right? So
praise his name.
Seriously. So I'm probably one of the few, but it was one of the best times of my life in a long time. Yeah. I was tired. Mm-hmm. I had a son under 18 months. Mm-hmm. I was working like crazy, like I had always been for all these years. Yeah. I was like, so you telling me I'm about to sit at home? To hell with these bills. Because I get back with y'all when the world decides it wants to wake back up.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Just being real.
Yeah.
And but I can rest.
Yep.
I can read.
Yep.
I can work out.
Yep.
I can eat right.
Yep.
I can watch my son take his first steps.
Yep. I
can go to bed. Yeah. I'm like, this is what it's like to be like rich.
Yeah.
And like, you ain't got nothing to do tomorrow. You just at home chilling.
Right.
I'm not going to bed with no stress.
Yep.
I'm like, hey,
listen.
I literally, it wasn't until that everything shut down that I think I realized that I kind of was, I hate to use the word depressed, but I was just in like a place where the old location, I grew to hate it. Mm. And I felt like stifled there. Mm-hmm. The business was growing. Yeah. And for so long I had dreamt to get into like a real brick and mortar and a storefront and really wanted to just be in a different place where I felt motivated again and didn't feel as tired. And I'm walking up into this building every day and I'm just annoyed. Like the other tenants are annoying me. I want to be in my own space. I'm sick of looking at y'all. I'm sick of looking at this parking lot. I just don't want to be here anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it gave me a reset. Mm-hmm. But then the other thing that it did was the November before the pandemic. So the pandemic was like March. Mm-hmm. That November, I had found a new location. Mm-hmm. I had only shared it with like a few people, but right when the pandemic hit, I was about to sign to go into that new location. So it did a couple things. I'm at peace, but I'm also stressed now because the other thought process is, do I go sign this lease and spend the first location was, a $13,000 investment. Mm-hmm. The second location was like no joke. Yeah. It was a whole lot of money being invested to make this new dream that I've always had come alive. Mm-hmm. And do you move into a new location? Yeah. And you don't even know what's really about to happen. Right. The whole world is shut down. Yeah. And I talked to someone and briefly, and he basically just said, the word, he was much older, and he just basically that wisdom is different than 33. Yeah. And he said, I'm not in a position at my age to take any risk. Mm-hmm. But for you got your whole life still ahead of you. Nice. And you want to make sure that you're standing straight up when all of this comes back, because it's going to come back. Yep. And will you be where you are already, or will you be already ready and in a new location? Yes. And I took his advice. Yep. I signed that lease. Yep. And I want to say 2 weeks later, Mike DeWine announced that we was going back to work. And I was like, I be dog. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, we about to be at home for a while. Yeah. Like, we always thinking when this was over, like, oh, a month gonna go, we all about to be back. Right. And then when another month go by, you're like, this is serious. Yeah. And so in the midst of everything reopening, they already breaking ground. Furniture is ordered. Yep. Everything is being done to the new location.
And keep in mind that everybody's hairy by this point.
At this point.
Everybody needs some services
but
done.
to be
okay?
honest with you, because so it's different. People still have to eat. So restaurants, you know, they probably gonna rebound.
Right.
In my mind, remember, luxury service. I don't know if people really want to come back.
Yeah.
Honestly,
People
this is the way I'm thinking.
when people invest in beauty, but I know this is the way you was thinking. But go ahead. So when people invest in beauty, they invest in their beauty, how they look.
But and I know that now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I'm not so confident. I'm just like, let's just see what happens. And I just hope that at it eventually it'll, you know, things will kind of take back off, I guess. Hell, I don't know what's about to happen, but let's just hope that I'm in a nicer location. At least I'm feeling good. I got my mental health back, and I'm good, and I'm feeling okay, and I'm feeling happy, and I'm feeling hopeful for the future. And the new location opens August 1st. And now, mind you, let's go back. I opened the books when he announces that we're going back to work. I think it was like the day before my birthday. It was like May 16th or something. And I announced, I'm sending emails, I announced that the books are reopening. They crashed the website. So I wasn't expecting that either. So the site crashes because so many people are trying to book an appointment that literally, I want to say like the first month was like book solid, like not a wiggle room in sight. And the new location is being built throughout this time, throughout the summer, last summer, and the new location, which is now the storefront that we're in now, that opens August 1st. And it's up.
It's up.
It's up. So it's been busy, and I couldn't be more grateful. And now I need to hire.
That's what's up.
So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
So that brings me to another question. Oh my God, DeLane. One, again, thank you for coming on episode 10 because this is dope. I'm happy I ran into you at Pinecrest. So quick story, I was in Pinecrest. I think I was with my daughter, with my oldest daughter, Madison.
Getting ice cream.
Getting some ice cream, and then I don't know where you was coming from, but you
Firebirds.
Firebirds
on a couple's like dinner date thing.
And then I came across the street. You was there. I'm like, DeLane, what's up? I ain't seen you in forever. And I was like, oh, it just don't like DeLane. I'm doing this podcast, Lunch with Lawrence. Would you be open to it? She was like, of course.
Anything.
And then we talked through it, and we made it happen, man.
Right.
But my just when people like to feel good.
Yeah.
So when that stuff happened, people's hair was growing crazy. Girls couldn't get their hair done, nails done, and like people were still doing some business here on the side.
Yeah.
I mean,
and more power to them.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was going on, and I was just like, y'all can't come to my house.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but and I'm not about to sit up out. Look, I want to be up there anyway.
Right.
So I was like, I'm cool.
Yeah. The pandemic was definitely a blessing in disguise because for a lot of people who took advantage of it, I mean, like people got out of debt. Like you said, people started eating healthier. People who did have businesses, they could actually take a seat. Sit down and breathe and look at their business and see where they could improve, what areas they could improve in. That's exactly what I did. I'm like, it felt good to just be home every day. I would go to the grocery store, up to Whole Foods. I was cooking. Look, I turned into a chef. Call me Chef LKG. I'm on Instagram posting my meals. Like, look what I shucked up today, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm, on a vegetarian kick, so I'm sitting here making fried mushrooms and, all type cauliflower and, all types of just, I call it my little exotic vegan or vegetarian dishes. But, I mean, it was just a blessing in disguise. And then, business just picked back up. So I like it. But one thing I want to ask you is one of my couple last questions is scaling your business.
Yeah.
Like, have you thought about that? And what does that look like? Because business is going to just pick up and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you were at a place where you was like, man, I was burnt out. Like, you didn't realize it because you're always working. And it's like, now we have to scale the business. So how would you go about scaling your business?
So back, I would say before the pandemic, I would get questions all the time about expanding, or do you think you would do more than one location? Do you think you would ever franchise? And my immediate answer was always like, no way, because I was just tired, and I think mentally I was in like a different place. But I think in recent months, and this is kind of more of like a to be continued, and I think in recent months I've really thought about it and people obviously continue to ask the question. And I think that a new location or another location is something that I should do as long as the team is right and things can align and things are right. I would say that it would be something I definitely would be open to.
Okay.
For sure.
So if like franchising or
So I don't.
how you don't know yet. You haven't really looked into it all like that.
I would probably do. I would just say probably
It's another location.
another location.
Yeah.
But it would
Versus
be nowhere
giving
near
somebody your business. It's still this is still your baby. You're still growing and have multiple locations.
Yeah, it would just be. I probably would do something like nowhere near here though. So it would be something like that because I feel like, when I opened my first location, European Wax Center wasn't in Cleveland, and then I knew that my research was dead on because 6 months after I opened, European Wax Center came to Cleveland. So it's obvious that there was a need for it, just like I had already seen. But I don't know that. And since obviously hair removal has become more popular, now brows are the thing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that I need that another location here is necessary. I would probably just say somewhere else. And our friends, my husband and I have friends in Scottsdale and in Dallas and Houston and all these other places. And over the years, they've all said, like, you could totally do something like that here. And who knows? We'll just see.
Have you ever considered, and I don't know if you do this now, but have you ever considered like training or teaching people the business? Because I'm on social media and I would see people giving classes on how to do eyebrows and stuff like that. So do you do that?
No, so I don't. And it's honestly only been because I don't have the time. But in line with scaling, and which is part of the reason why I did the product line and my own wax line, things like that. I need to find other ways to bring myself a little bit out of the business and work more on the business. And that's the point in business that I'm at. That I really am realizing, like, okay, you've done it so long by yourself that I just don't want to do that anymore. Like the amount of work for the past over 7 years, it's like unreal. And so now I really want to scale the business in that way and do other things that are going to grow the brand and grow the business that don't involve me, every single day, 10 and 13-hour days.
Which makes sense. You mentioned the product line, which I'm glad you said that. So that's the Collection by LA.
Yes.
Okay. So the collection, this has to be obviously another stream of income that business that your wax bar created. So how did you come up with the Collection by LA and what all does it entail? So
the Collection by LA are products that are speak to really basically what the original I guess kind of like nucleus of the business is, and that's the wax bar. So there are body scrubs, things like that are basically going to enhance services that you receive. So there's brow products, there's body scrubs, there's an ingrown hair serum. I created a signature scent for the salon several years ago, just out of, again, just like trying to think of something different to do. And I had that made into a soy candle and a room spray. And I want to say that's it. There's like a couple like cute little like ancillary items and stuff like that, but it's mainly just items, brow products and body products. And then I have my own wax line, which I'm most proud of, and that took me 4 years to complete. And a manufacturer in Europe, I worked with them and their chemists, and they created the wax line for me, and so now the wax line is exclusively used in the business. So I use my own products every day. Wow, congratulations. Thank you. That's major. Well, last question, and I always ask all my guests this question, is Cleveland. How do you feel about the city of Cleveland? How has Cleveland been good to you or bad to you as far as entrepreneurship? Do you see yourself staying? Do you see yourself talk to me about Cleveland, how you feel about the city. First and foremost, I feel like if you can make it in Cleveland, you can make it anywhere. And I've always believed that. But I love Cleveland. I always think it's funny when I hear people like, oh no, I'm getting out of here. And for me, I also have felt like for the sort of business that I've started, why would I go to LA when there's a million of those?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like I created something that I'm proud of at a time where no one else as a Black owned business had done that. And my business focused, you know, again, I've taken a road less traveled. My business focused on just hair removal and just eyebrow artistry. And to do something like that in Cleveland at a time where something like that didn't exist, and to kind of, you know, create my own space. Cleveland has been good to me in that way.
That's what's up.
I'm big on the cost of living and no traffic, and you can get through Cleveland Airport at TSA pre-check in 3 minutes. So for me, I'm like, I'm good. You know, I feel like I could travel anywhere. So for me personally, I don't mind it. Cleveland has been good to me, and you know, I'm good here.
That's what's up, man. Well, DeLane, thank you for coming on Lunch with Lawrence, episode 10. I have the one of the best chefs in the city for episode 10. My homie, my girl, another Heights classman, Jamie Smith with Next Level Caterers. Got it right this time. What's going on, Jamie?
Hey, Jamie. I haven't seen you in forever.
Jamie, so what are we having for lunch today?
All right, so today we have a Caribbean theme going.
Caribbean, okay.
Yes, we've got some jerk rasta pasta shrimp.
Oh, yes.
Jerk rasta pasta.
Grilled jerk salmon.
Grilled jerk salmon. Some sauteed cabbage.
Dope.
That's what's up. Well, DeLane, look, we about to throw down.
All right,
we're
cool.
gonna talk more off camera, and we're gonna break bread. And
Thank you so
go
much
from
for
there.
having me.
Thank you. Hey, once again, man.
Cheers.
Cheers. Episode
Thank you
10.
so
Thank
much.
you. Congratulations on everything, too.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Up and at 'em.
Yeah.